that allow you to have these beliefs.
Oh, I didn't know that. So there's no state religions anywhere that allow people to have the free exercise of religion, even while they have a state religion?
There are some, but they typically tend to, again, be pretty, shitty towards people that do not adhere to
Oh,
the
really? Like the Norwegian
main
nations?
religion.
Like I'm sorry, not the Norwegian nations, the Nordic nations. The Nordic nations who have state religions, they tend to be really shitty.
Hear her typing. That's another thing too, is that pretty much she uses Chat GPT and Google like a ton. And listen, lady, if we wanted Andrew Wilson to debate Chat GPT or Google, we could just watch a video of him debating Chat GPT or Google.
You have like this universal, ethical framework to call back upon, because again, it is like one that is, constantly up for debate. Is it not?
No, it's not. No.
You just said it's like one that people have to determine.
So do you
like
think
people argue?
If you think,
again, it's also based upon your interpretation of the text.
If you use, so what you're talking about is you're talking about interpretive logic. So you're saying, are you claiming I can't make a universal claim and justify it?
I think that you cannot claim that my moral framework is inherently inferior to yours, or in some capacity doesn't.
Oh no,
just
no,
it's the
opposite.
As yours is.
It's the total opposite. I think you're misconstruing it. The fact of the matter is that the secular framework I love. I think it's great. I wish more of you would adopt only the type of framework you have, because when men like me get into positions of power and authority and we want to be oppressive, you don't have a single claim that you can make except that you just don't like it very much. And so ultimately, give
me 1 second, guys. Yeah, but so I guess they're debating human, they're debating her secular worldview against his Orthodox Christian worldview. And so he's telling her that, under her worldview, that, if he likes that, because once he gets into power, well, she would have nothing to say about it.
I think it's fine. I've always thought that this was a massive weakness of secularists, that the only claims that they make about morality is that it's just subjective and relative, because if that's the case, then any dictator who rises up and takes over your society and they just convince X amount of your society they're good, you really don't have a leg to stand on to say they're not. You can only say, based on my own preferences, I just don't like this. And if that's the case, what the fuck do I care? Okay, well, according to my preferences, I do. So it's just like, if that's the case, again, if that's how you want to run society.
On the premise that we do have like sort of an inborn morality.
Yeah, but you can't get an
and we do,
from
and
an
we exhibit these traits of wanting to cooperate and work with each other.
But
and
let me explain why
not necessarily to our benefit.
Yeah, but let me explain why that doesn't matter. I'll just explain why that doesn't matter.
Why doesn't that matter?
Because if it was the case that there was a counter society, right, who came up right along with us.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. I went on the perfect part. Let's Andrew explain this society.
Right along with us at the same time. They evolved they were indistinguishable from us, except they didn't have that trait, and they did have an inborn trait to rape. Is that an immoral society?
But they have an inborn trait to rape? I don't think that
if they had it.
If there was a rape trait.
Yeah. This society evolved the same time as us. They're Homo sapiens instead of sapiens. They're Srapians. They're Homo sapiens, and the Homo sapiens evolved at exactly the same time as Homo sapiens. Exactly the same time. They're like a counter. They look exactly like us, talk exactly like us. They're exactly like us in every way, except the Srapians, they have to rape. That's inbuilt in them. They have to do it. Are they doing anything wrong?
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
What are they doing wrong except being born with a trait you don't like?
These people, like, they take for granted that their morality is just, that's the default, you know, it's the default setting. So obviously that's wrong. Yes, obviously. But there's already cultures right now that do things, and it's like, I don't know, but but the point is that these secularists, they kind of like they take morality kind of for granted. Like, they just think these are default settings, you know, like they're not self-aware enough to know that, like, yeah, listen, like, it's not just a given, a lot of this morality here.
Like,
exhibiting antisocial behaviors.
Yeah, but why is that wrong except it's a trait you don't like?
Because it is not conducive to creating a.
But that's a trait.
Society.
You said that's a trait you have, that's inborn in you, that's an
All right,
immutable
but you
characteristic.
are also making up the rape trait.
Yes, I know, to test your logic. So if the Srapians
Okay,
have
you're
this
making
trait,
up the rape trait.
yes, I know, I'm making it up. Yes, I agree. I'm making up the
Srape.
Srape trait. So the Srapians, they have an inborn trait, and that trait is to rape. And you have a trait that's inborn in you genetically to not do that. Why are the Srapians evil and you're not evil?
Yeah.
Because I have empathy.
Ugh.
They have empathy.
They always do. The secular people always do that. Well, I have empathy. Oh, really? Well, as it's shown, like, empathy does not always solve everything. You know, again, if there's situations where you know, like, there's these secularists, like, they have empathy for criminals sometimes. You know, like, earlier in this conversation, she was like defending criminals, like, yeah, well, you know, like Andrew Wilson was like, well, what if like 5 men came up and fought and they shot these 5 men over here, shot and killed them. And they're like, well, would you put them in there for life? And he was like, I would hang them. And she was just like, well, listen, some of these people, you know, they come from a poor background and they're young, and sometimes they get indoctrinated into gangs at a young age. Like, she was showing empathy toward criminals, you know. So when she sits here and is like, oh yeah, well, I have empathy, and well, obviously it's wrong. Well, no, it's not, because there are morons like you that shows empathy toward the wrong fucking people.
They do.
They don't.
Yeah, they do.
But they selectively apply it.
Yeah, but why does that make them bad if they have that as a trait? That's an inborn trait they can't help. Why are they evil and you're good? What's the paradigm here that makes the Srapians evil, but you good? If you're both born with this trait, except they're not born with that trait, they're born with the R trait, and you're born with the intuitive cooperation trait. What is the thing that makes the Srapians evil?
Probably the rape trait, which does not exist.
But if it did exist,
there is no group of human beings that.
Yeah, I know they're not human beings. They're not Homo sapiens. They're Srapians. What?
These people always pretend to not understand hypotheticals when it doesn't suit them.
Makes the Srapians evil.
I just feel like this is like a completely.
Can you just answer the question? What makes the Srapian evil? Yeah.
Goodness gracious. I think because, again, the profound lack of empathy in the violation of other human beings, other Homo sapien, whatever, same genus, the violation of their right to exist without harm. Now,
so the thing that makes you good is that you're born that way.
I think the thing that makes me want to be good and behave in a way that
you're
good.
born that way.
We are.
So basically, so what you're saying?
What the heck? You're born that way?
So what you're saying is what makes humanity good, what makes us good, man, is that we're humans. And if we're not humans, then we're not good. That's it. That's all. Listen, this is the reduction of your entire argument is because I'm a human being, I'm good. And if you're not a human being, you're not fucking good because you lack that trait.
If I have the capacity to have empathy and I have critical thinking skills.
They have the capacity for critical thinking and empathy.
And they still commit rapes.
Yes.
I think that would be
that's not a contradiction.
Again,
you can have empathy and be a rapist, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you can. I mean, the
Yeah.
Nazis loved animals.
Yeah. Okay. So
and
then
Always with the
hated
Nazis.
Jewish people.
so what is the thing that makes
they only know anything about the Nazis. That's it. They're all experts on the Nazis. That's, I guess, the only really bad time is when white people came over here, killed all the Indians, and Nazi Germany, and civil rights. That's the only thing these people know.
these people evil? They were born this way. What makes them evil?
Oh, and slavery. Can't forget that.
What makes the Srapians, who have the same exact genetic makeup as you, except this one trait, this evolutionary trait, what makes the Srapians evil and you good?
Evil is not a genetic trait.
Yeah, I'm
But if there was,
asking
like,
if they
species that
had this
was
genetic
born
trait, what would
evil.
make them bad? What makes the Srapians bad?
So wait a minute. So evil is not a genetic trait, but good is a genetic trait. We're not born with an evil gene, but we are born with a good gene.
Dude, I don't, because of the rape. But again, dude, even if we turn
So you're
this,
just saying
if I
that
turn
we're
this around
human?
on you, if I turn this around
Turn
on
it
you,
around on me.
if I turn it around on you, like,
Mhm.
why would it be bad? Because you think God is telling you that it's bad?
Let's just assume that I'll just take
Okay.
your worldview on this, in fact.
No,
right?
no. I want you to
Mhm.
speak from your worldview.
Yeah, so I would appeal to the Christian God and the universal ethics that come down through Christian ethics. I'd give you the demonstration through suppositional logic as to why you would need to appeal to a God to even make knowledge claims to begin with. And then we would go down the pathway of the path of I guess the best way to do it is if we were to take multiple worldviews and we're able to show that all of them were not true except this worldview. This is how I'm trying to explain the impossibility of the contrary to you, right? This would be the pathway for me to logically get to Christianity. Now, I'm happy to answer your questions on that if you want. But the thing that's so interesting about this conversation is, like, why does it even matter? Let's say I was born with the trait to be a Christian. There would be no reason for you to deny me my Christianity, nor any of the ethical frameworks or purviews in which I appeal to. And I can point to the fact that there is scientific literature that shows that we have genetic predispositions towards religion. So if it was just the case that I was genetically predisposed to be a Christian, you would have no leg to stand on to even try to falsify it. If it is the case that all you can say is that the Srapians would need to be destroyed because they're not humans, that's what your worldview reduces to. Do you understand? Like, do you understand why I see this as being so absurd? Because if you say humans are born with a trait of cooperation, therefore we should cooperate. Okay, that makes sense. Srapians are born with the trait to rape. Therefore they should rape? And your answer is, well, no. Well, then your worldview here doesn't make any sense, because on the one hand, you say if you're born to do this thing, you should. But if these people over here were born to do this thing, they should not. And so you're making a universal claim about what is ethical. You're making a universal claim that human beings are more ethical than a counter-human species. You would be still more ethical. You're making right now a universal claim. That's what I'm trying to show you.
Well, it's only a universal claim in your fantasy world in which there is an intelligent race that is genetically predisposed
That's
to
right.
commit rapes, which
yeah,
is
and in
not
that
at
world,
all.
with the universal, listen.
We are not these. We are humans, though. Like, the thing
Yeah.
that we are different from other animals because we have such a significant capacity for critical thinking. Our cognitive abilities are incredible. There are, in fact, animals that do seem to. Chimpanzees versus bonobos are actually a great example of this. Chimpanzees tend to be significantly more aggressive than bonobos. They do, in fact,
bonobos
they
are our
rape,
closest
they murder,
ancestor,
they
I believe.
cannibalism.
No,
they
chimpanzees
cannibalize.
Aren't chimpanzees actually the closest ancestor? But bonobos, they have some type of like matriarchal society, so liberals always appeal to them. I don't remember.
They're both actually extremely close to us.
By the way, chimpanzees, it was proven later on the chimpanzees are actually the ones closest to human beings. So yeah, I guess they like to bring up bonobos because, my matriarchal society, they're really feminist.
It might be bonobos.
Feminist
I don't remember.
bonobos.
But, however,
but anyway, so what? So bonobos, if they have a Srape culture, Can we take them all out?
No, but the difference between us and bonobos and chimpanzees, our closest relatives, are that they lack the capacity to, they lack the predisposition to cooperate the way that we do. They lack the intelligence. They don't have it. We have it. We have thought. We have the ability to exercise our critical thinking skills.
I agree.
We both have the inborn.
I agree. You empathy. And I, we have the ability to exercise our critical thinking skills. So why aren't you driving a car right now?
Oh, I'm sitting in my house.
Right. Okay. What you just engaged in was a hypothetical. What I did was I took something which does not exist, and then I put it in front of you to get some type of inductive reasoning so that you could respond to the claim you're making, which is that you're not driving. So I know that what you can do, if I give you a hypothetical, is respond based on things that aren't factual and do not exist. In the case of the Srapians, they do not exist. They're not factual. But it is not an argument for you to say, because these things don't exist, I don't need to respond to my own logic of if they did. They do inside of the fantasy hypothetical I made up. There's a group who have a trait which is internal that makes them srape. That's what they do. They're called the Srapians. And other than that trait, they're completely identical to human beings. And they're born this way.
Well,
are they evil? Hang on. Are they evil or not? Okay. Why aren't you in a spaceship, right? Why aren't you on Mars right now?
I wouldn't qualify to go to Mars, frankly. I don't have the skills.
So wait a second. So I just asked you a question. You had to come up in your head with a fantasy, which envisioned you on Mars, and you're not
Andrew,
there, and it doesn't exist. Just answer the question. Good. Then just answer the question.
I could also come up with random ass hypotheticals.
Then give me those. Give me
Andrew,
those.
You have no, listen, I don't like to make that. I'm agnostic, but I don't like to get really aggressive with religious people because I respect their beliefs. But you don't have any proof that your God exists, and you don't have any proof that your universal Christian ethics are, in fact, the best way to be. You have individually made that decision. You have made the decision to adhere to them yourself. You have selected that religion. You have selected
I'm willing to engage with both of those questions.
Okay.
As soon as you answer mine. The Srapians exist. They're inside of them. I know you're trying to evade this desperately, but please just answer, because this is the spirit of real good faith. I'm trying to test your logic so that you can really understand how distorted this is. The Srapians exist counter to human beings. They evolved at exactly the same time. They have this imbued trait that you do not have.
And Benjamin, like, none of these people, like all these people that Andrew Wilson debates, like, it's hard for them to engage in these hypotheticals. And it could be that they don't teach them how to think anymore. Like they don't teach common sense and all this stuff. But I think they also know that it proves them wrong. It just proves their entire worldview is like incorrect, or at the very least inconsistent. And so it's hard for them to kind of confront that. And so they'll try to avoid the hypotheticals as much as they can. But good on Andrew for making her stick to it and making her answer.
And you have an imbued trait they do not have. What is the thing that makes them bad?
I would say that if they have an inborn predisposition to do harm to others, and in fact to do harm to me and my own, I would say that
they don't have any. They don't ever scrape you and yours. They never scrape outside of their own Srapian.
I think that being an intelligent species. Now, mind you, there are animals that are instinctually do harm. Like, I think that pit bulls are a good example of that. They are, raised to be aggressive. However, their nurture can overcome their nature for sure, right?
What's the thing that makes them evil? What's the thing that makes them bad? That's all I'm asking. What thing makes them bad? They're born this way. They scrape each other. Okay, that's what they do.
Be their capacity for critical thought and empathy that does not allow them to overcome their desire.
She's bringing up empathy. Like, she doesn't understand, though. For one, like I said, you could show empathy toward the wrong people, but also too, as Andrew brought up earlier, you could be empathetic and also grape people. You know, you could like grape someone and feel bad about it or something. What's it called? Like, he just wants her to explain, well, like, under what makes it bad, and she has nothing. It's just other than her feelings, and that's what he's trying to demonstrate right here. And by the way, in this hypothetical group of people that Andrew has created, you know, in their society, in that the Homo sapien society, it would not be seen, I guess, as not empathetic to do that if it's just ingrained in them. So in that society, it wouldn't be seen as a big problem.
To rape.
Got it.
I would say that would be.
So then animals, by this logic, are evil.
Animals aren't intelligent enough to comprehend the consequences of their actions.
Wait a second.
Many of them are not.
Wait. I'm super confused here. You said it's lack of empathy and a lack of critical thinking. So if it's a lack of empathy and a lack of critical thinking, animals have both those components: lack of empathy, lack of critical thinking. Therefore, they would be evil.
No. I'm sorry. I'm saying that the Shrapians, the Shrapians have the capacity for critical thought, correct? They are as intelligent as we are.
Yes.
But they have a trait where they want to rape.
Yes, rape.
If you have the mental faculties to understand that you are doing harm to other individuals.
They don't think it's harmful because they don't have the same trait that you do.
I mean, I know they're talking about traits, but there's people right now who do not see it as harmful. Like, have you seen videos of people in other countries? Like, I don't know if they're Indian or African or something, but they're telling them, like, they're talking about like raping a woman or something, like raping women, and they don't. And the guy like interviewing was trying to tell him, like, well, that's bad. And he's like, he doesn't see it as bad. He's like, huh? Like, well, no. Like, and they're like, well, why did you do that? It's like, well, because I want to. They're like, yeah, but that's bad. And he's like, well, why is that bad? Like, there are people already here. Like, Andrew doesn't even have to create this hypothetical. There are people here already that think this way. And libtards like this woman over here go to these countries thinking, oh, look at me, I'm being pro-diversity and I'm being accepting and tolerant and blah, blah, blah. And then they go see for themselves that these societies are not very friendly to women. And they're like, what? It's like, we fucking tried to tell you, you dummy.
Trait says that they're born to do this. That's what they do.
Their rape trait, their trait
to it's instinctual.
Yes.
So I think that
to them, right? This is as natural as breathing, as much as it is for you to naturally cooperate with other human beings.
Okay. So I would say that I grew up and had anger issues, and often my instinct when mad would be to hit people. But because I am a rational human being, thinking human being, I can go, this is actually really antisocial, and it would be bad. It would not be conducive to cooperating and living in a society with other people.
That's
no, probably what happened is you were told, hey, you can't be doing that. You had to probably be told that. Normally people, you know, a lot of times people, like, they have to be told, like, hey, you can't be doing that. That's not healthy and stuff. If it's ingrained, if you're brought up that way. So if you had anger issues and stuff like that, and you're going around hitting people, it's probably because someone told you no. You can't be doing that, and then you actually put in the work to stop. The thing is that not everybody is like that. Not everyone is willing to put in the work to change their negative qualities like that. It's very hard. People can change, but it's not easy. It's difficult when you're ingrained into thinking a sort of way, reacting a sort of way, or there's something else going on. It's very hard to change. And so that's the thing. It's like there are people who, by the way, this also flies into her whole this flies against her whole argument, because like I said earlier, she brought up like about, oh, if someone shoots someone, how long should they get in jail? And she's like, well, the thing is that sometimes people in these poor areas, they get indoctrinated into gangs and stuff like that. But yet here she is, she's saying she used to hit people. That was her first instinct, and then she learned to not to do it. It's almost as if you could change if you really wanted to. And so by her logic, then she shouldn't be excusing people who actually murder people And Phil, she shouldn't be excusing that because, well, they could change if they wanted to under her worldview.
So if the
Absolutely
Shrapians encounter us,
Mhm.
and they intelligently recognize that their way of life is abhorrent and evil to us, and we have to live in. But also, I guess that the rape is a kind of difficult, you know. Oh,
Oh yeah, this is where Andrew kept having
stuff goes.
Oh,
It's okay.
issues.
We'll just hang out until he comes back. No worries.
Just going in circles and
the Shrapians attacking Andrew's internet.
I get it. I'm just going to say this, like
mhm.
the reason that this makes no sense is because anything that you're appealing to for why the Shrapians are bad, right,
Mhm.
is the same thing that you would be appealing to for why it is that you're good. But it just begs the question of what makes that good. And you say, well, what makes it good is that it's an internal trait that I have. That's what makes it good. The
And it's
Shrapians
pro-social.
also, but what makes that good is because you're that thing. You see what I mean? Does that make sense?
But also the idea of an inborn trait to rape, but you say the Shrapians don't have an issue with it. Rape is very, very explicitly a violation of consent.
Oh no, the female Shrapians definitely have a problem with it.
Okay, so the female Shrapians definitely have a problem with it.
Yeah, unless they're doing it, then they don't have a problem with it.
Okay, I see. So okay,
unless they're doing it, then they don't have a problem with it.
But the thing is like when we're talking about, do you understand when you say, I'm the reason that I can make these moral claims is because I have an ingrown trait that is just moral because it exists. They say the same thing. They'll make the counterclaim to you. I also am moral because I have an ingrained trait and it just exists. What is the thing that you would actually be appealing to that they're not appealing to? It's just your own trait again. You see what I mean?
Yes, but they have a profoundly antisocial trait.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Like you say, I have this trait, and the thing that makes the trait good is that it's the trait. And they say, yeah, I have a trait too, and the thing that makes it good is that it's the trait.
Species.
Yeah, but it's not though. It's not integral to the survival of their species. They still cooperate. They just also have this other trait where they rape. Yes, that's right. And so you don't have the trait, but you appeal to this other trait and say the thing that makes this trait good is that it's good because it's good, man, because I have it. That's what makes it good. They appeal to the same thing. Do you see why that doesn't make sense?
I think that they are evil and bad because they understand the harm that they are doing and they don't care.
Yeah, but that would be
okay. So wait a minute. So then I don't get it. So they're evil and bad because they understand, but they don't care. Okay. What about the criminals that you said shouldn't get prison time earlier? Well, because they've indoctrinated and blah, blah, blah. Oh, so they don't understand they're doing harm. They don't understand. How do you know that the Shrapians don't understand? What if they don't understand?
Appealing to a trait again. The thing that makes you think that that's harmful and bad is that cooperation trait that you have. Their trait.
You're using the word rape, and the female Shrapians do not like it. They recognize that they are doing.
The male ones don't like it when they do it to them. Yeah.
Okay, so they understand that they're doing evil and cruel things to each other.
They don't consider it evil. They consider it part of their nature. It's just part of their nature that they may not like, or sometimes don't like.
Even though they still do it by instinct.
Yeah, they do it by instinct.
Right.
And
so human beings kill each other. And do we not do everything in our power typically to circumvent murder? I mean,
well, not if they're libtards running it like you, who are like, well, I don't know. They had a hard upbringing. Well, they were poor. Well, they were indoctrinated into gangs. She completely contradicts herself. So on one hand, she's like, well, don't we as human beings do everything we can to circumvent murderer and stuff like that? Well, yeah, not if they're libtarded.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point is that if it were the case that you had a trait inside of you that made you murder and you just appealed to the trait and said it must be good because I was born with it, it's exactly what you're doing. You're saying the only thing that makes you good is that you have a trait inside of you that you think is good. Anybody can make the same claim with any trait. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. A murderer could
That
do it. A
has been
rapist could do it.
empirically observed. There's empirical evidence for
Sure,
this.
but if it
that
was
we as human beings
empirically
do this.
observed that they had a trait that made them scrape, what would make that less moral than the thing you're appealing to? That you're both appealing to the same thing. You're literally both appealing to the same exact concept.
Then the fantasy rape species.
Yes, that's right. The
The
fantasy grape
intelligent evil
species.
fantasy rape
Yes,
species.
that's right. Yes.
Do
you think that
makes
saying
them
that it's
shitty is that they
hypothetical
know
and
that
fantasy-
they're doing harm.
This is so like I can't believe like this contradictory again. Like if you would have heard her earlier, she was like pretty much defending criminals. Like, well, but they grew up poor and they're indoctrinated into gangs, and yet right here, like, oh well, the Shrapians that are evil and shitty. Even though in the hypothetical they have just a gene inside of them that causes it, but there's no empathy for the Shrapians. The Shrapians don't get empathy. I guess they didn't grow up poor enough. I guess there was not enough gangs in there for her to feel this empathy toward them. Yeah, the Shrapians are pieces of crap. But the poor gang member criminals that are shooting and killing people, well, they deserve our empathy and they need treatment and we need our understanding because they grew up poor.
And they
But
still
they-
continue to do it.
Yeah, I know, but you have a trait inside you that makes you think that's bad, right?
Yes.
And you're
but
appealing
I
to
also,
that trait and saying it's based on that trait that I have that tells me this is bad, right? They're appealing to the same thing, a trait where they say, no, this is good, right? You say, no, it's bad, but you're both appealing to the same thing. You're both appealing to a trait that you have.
well, I suppose we'd have to do what we're doing right now, which is, kind of try to figure out how to live with each other. With a different moral
Why do you need to live
codes, I
together?
suppose.
You don't need to live together. Why
Oh,
do you
then I
need to do
wouldn't.
that?
I wouldn't want to
Yeah,
live with each other.
Exactly.
Then
You wouldn't want to live with
wouldn't be
them.
relevant. Then it wouldn't be relevant.
No, it's
It would
still
not be
relevant.
If
It's
I
still
didn't have to live
relevant.
with the Shrapians, if I didn't have to live with them, I'd be like, well, that's really gross and awful and evil, and I think that they're bad, but I don't have to live with you.
But the thing that makes them bad is that you have a trait inside you that you were just born with, and that trait is good because you say it's good. Do you
It is
see?
good because it allows me to live in peace with my species. It has so Stanford is the last name of the guy, not the institution that this academic journal belongs to, by the way, because you said it was Harvard earlier. He argues that
I,
this
in fact,
actually
never said it was Harvard. I'm sure.
Okay, so
I'm pretty sure anyway.
This specific like
Yeah. And then she
like-
starts making these popping noises, which is really annoying.
our capacity to our tendency to externalize our morality and determine who we wish to associate based upon our externalized morality.
Quick question. I wonder if she would have more empathy toward the Shrapians if they were brown. Andrew should have said that. They're brown skinned, they're dark skinned. I wonder if she would have had more empathy toward the Shrapians and their, I wonder if she would have showed more compassion to the Shrapians if she was told that.
That makes sense.
Has probably significantly increased our cognitive capacities and abilities. So this might be a part of why we are such an intelligent species.
These are all descriptors, though. All that they do is explain why we're this way, not why we should be this way.
Why we should be this way?
Yeah. Do you understand that, if it is the case that I have a gene, right, that makes me more prone to alcohol, which I probably do because I'm Irish, right? And this is like a common stereotype. Why shouldn't I be an alcoholic if I have this inborn trait? You would say, well, because I don't know, it could ruin your life or this or that. But if I want my life ruined and I just want to be an alcoholic, do you care?
Do I care if you want to ruin your life?
Yeah.
If I had to live with you in my community,
you don't have to live with me in your community. I live on the other side of the world in Ireland, and we all drink ourselves to death because we think it's fun.
I would be like, whoa, that's weird and bad. That's not good. That's antisocial.
But what makes it bad, though?
The antisocial properties. I mean, I suppose the one universal
Yeah, but
that
you see how you keep on appealing.
I can grant you, the one universal I can grant you is that I think as animals, we do have some sort of drive to propagate our species. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, no, I would disagree. I think that we have the drive to have sexual intercourse, not necessarily to propagate.
Right, which we want to, which leads typically to reproduction. We have natural desires that cause arousal.
Yes, that is the case. So
Right.
it is a side effect of sexual intercourse that we have children, but the desire to propagate itself, I think that that would vary greatly, but the desire to have sexual intercourse doesn't vary so much. So no, I'm not willing to kind of grant the idea that human beings have a massive drive necessarily for propagation, but rather a massive drive for sex, which leads to propagation. I would say most mammal species operate in this fashion. Yep. That rabbits don't give a shit about having kids. They just want to fuck.
No, of course not. It's just it's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, it's what our bodies, what our biology.
So the thing is when we're talking about aughts, when we're talking about aughts versus ises, you're giving me a bunch of descriptors for how human beings operate. That's great. But not descriptors for why they ought to operate that way. And then when I ask you why they ought to, you say because we do. We ought to operate this way because we do operate this way. That's why we should operate this way because we operate this way. That's not only circular, but it's actually retarded because you could just make that you can make that claim with anything. The Irish should drink themselves to death. Why? Because they do drink themselves to death. Why is that bad though? Because that's what we do.
But I also feel that you are operating on the same circular logic in the sense that, like, if I ask you why something is moral or immoral, you will say because God says so. And I'll say, how do you know God says so? Well, I just think he does. Like, again, it's going to go, there's no really like evidence that you could provide me to have a sort of concrete.
But here's the thing that's funny is like, what standard of evidence, first of all, two questions. One, what standard of evidence would you even accept? As the most prominent atheist, Richard Dawkins, said, if he looked at the sky and it said, Richard, I'm God, he would reject it. Okay. And then second, even if that was the case, who cares? Like, even if I'm totally wrong, who gives a shit? Yeah. Ultimately, you can never appeal to anything for why I'm wrong, except you are because I think you are because you are, because the traits inside me say you are, and the reason they're right is because they are. And so ultimately,
and by the way, as an American too, you know, this is like a Christian country, and I don't mean, oh no, everyone here practices Christianity, but this is a dominantly Christian country. A lot of our laws were based off of Christian ethics. So she gets, whether she likes it or even knows it or not, she gets some of her morality from Christian ethics. Not all of it, but some of it, at least knowing not to rape, not to murder, things of that nature. So it's like she's getting it whether she knows it or not.
You also can't prove why I'm wrong.
Oh, no.
It's only on the basis of your.
I think you missed the whole point.
About your God.
I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I'm trying to make sure that you affirm the belief that all things which are moral are just completely subjectively relevant or relative to your preferences and feelings. I don't give a shit about you being wrong. I'm happy that you hold those preferences, because that means that any condemnation that you ever give as a moral prescription towards another human being doesn't mean shit, because it's just fucking relative. It doesn't mean
Neither
shit.
does yours,
if a dictator goes in, that's fine. I'm looking for the position of power. I'm telling Christians they should be in a position of power and authority, and fucking secularists can't make a single argument for why they shouldn't, except because it makes us feel bad. So you're banking on Christian morality. You're banking on our moral system to hold us back from literally ruling over all of you fuckers. And that's what's so hilarious. I'm banking on Christian ethics, and Christian
has led to the,
absolutely 100% correct.
The greatest peace on our
That's probably the biggest joke against these atheists, is that they reject God so much, but yet a lot of their moral code, their moral foundations comes from Christian ethics, and they don't even know it.
What? When was this?
I mean, secularism brought us like America. It brought us America,
What
didn't it?
secularism didn't? Okay, and was America founded on colonialism and genocide?
I mean, the reason that you can be like,
wait,
you're
hang on,
Orthodox, an Orthodox Christian is that you could be because of secularism.
Wait a second.
It is secularism that allows you to exist as an Orthodox
was
Christian right now in America.
Okay, was America founded on colonialism and genocide?
It sure was, but it was also founded upon secularism,
okay,
which
great.
was the good part of it. Yeah,
so
these things are actively kind of complex.
Secularists who are peaceful brought us colonialism and genocide. Brilliant argument.
No, I mean the founding principles of America. How the country was settled is different.
I get it. Hang on. The founders, who were a bunch of genocidal maniacs, who killed all the Indians, right? Killed all the natives, killed all the people, right? And committed colonialism and genocide. They were secularists, and secularists brought us the greatest amount of peace. Is that right?
Many of the settlers themselves were religious, but it, like we were not killing Christians, we were not killing other Christians. Again, it was secularism that allows you to exist
only Christian
as you
lives
do
matter?
now.
So only Christian lives matter?
No, that's not at all what I said.
Oh, so secular, how great it must be to move that goalpost there. Well, secularism only allows us to live how we live now. Oh yes, definitely.
But I'm talking about you. Like again, like it is secularism that allows you to be what you are. You are not like forced to adhere to whatever government, state, religion we want. Like it is.
Yeah, we actually are. It's because of secularism why we have homosexuality that's being like taught in schools, drag shows. That's not Christian. That's secularism. Taking the kids to drag shows. That's secularism. That's against our Christian beliefs. But we're being forced into going along with it because of secularism. Same thing with transing the children and all these things, transitioning children, exposing transgenderism to children. That's all secularism. That's against our beliefs, but you're forcing us to go along with it.
The secularists that allow you to have these beliefs.
Oh, I didn't know that. So there's no state religions anywhere that allow people to have the free exercise of religion, even while they have a state religion?
There are some, but they typically tend to, again, be pretty, shitty towards people that do not adhere to these.
Oh, really? Like the Norwegian nations? Religion. Like I'm sorry, not the Norwegian nations, the Nordic nations. The Nordic nations who have state religions, they tend to be really shitty.
You hear her typing. That's another thing too, is that pretty much she uses Chat GPT and Google like a ton. And it's like, listen, lady, like Andrew Wilson, it shows the difference. Andrew Wilson just know that this is why one of the reasons why Andrew Wilson's such a good debater is because he studies, he does the homework and stuff. And so he knows all this shit just from the top of his head, and where you have this girl right here who has to look up everything in real time. Like, lady, well, I thought you were well read. I thought you were one of the smart ones. I thought you were you're educated here. And yet you have to look up everything. Yet Andrew Wilson just knows this shit off the top of his head. And listen, lady, if we wanted Andrew Wilson to debate Chat GPT or Google, we could just watch a video of him debating Chat GPT or Google. What do we need you here to be the human surrogate, the human surrogate for?
Towards people who aren't part of those religions, do they?
They have so Norway is not a Christian state.
I didn't say Norway, I said Nordic nations.
Which Nordic nations are Christian state?
Look up Nordic nation, state religion. I believe it's I'm trying to go off the top of my head here. I usually have a reference in front of me.
So most Nordic countries have disestablished their state churches.
That's nice. What about the ones who haven't, though?
So it's just Denmark.
Okay, so Denmark has a state religion, and they're really just not peaceful towards people who aren't part of that religion then?
Denmark's fine, but it seems like they're most likely to disestablish the Church of Denmark as the state religion. I also think that there's probably too many prominent examples of nations that are
when do they
religion, such as
when do they plan
Israel,
on getting rid of
Iran
the state religion?
are very violent. When do they plan on it? I think that they most likely will, if all the other Nordic countries are.
Oh, really? When?
When?
Yeah.
It was 2017 when Norway did.
Norway did what?
Disestablish the separated of church. Hold on.
Is there a Church of England by chance?
There is.
Oh, and what is that? Anglican?
Yeah, but there's
Are you
a
persecuted for not being
separation
Anglican?
You were at one point, yes. You were at one point.
You right now?
But now it is secular.
So no, it's not
They have
secular.
a separation of church and state. They have a separation.
Do you
of church and
understand
state.
that you saying that there's a separation of church and state doesn't mean that secularists brought us that Christians can have state churches and still allow you the free exercise of worship? Do you understand that these are not claimed? When you make these claims, secularists, the reason you can worship right now. No, in fact, that's not the case. The very first secularist nation I'm aware of was the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union. Hang on, stop.
So that they could,
the very first. Your
ancestors had to flee.
The very first. Yeah. Okay. Great. They had to flee, man. Everyone had to flee at some point, man. But anyway, the very first secular state I can think of was the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union did away with Christianity by killing them. That's what they did. The Tsar of Russia, who they went in and killed, was an Orthodox Christian. They killed them all. That's what the Bolsheviks did. They killed them. Bolshevik atheists killed everybody. They weren't
actually
fucking
the first
peaceful.
Secular state was the United States of America.
No, it wasn't a secular state. No,
it was.
No, it wasn't.
That is in our Constitution, isn't it?
No, it's not in our Constitution. The First Amendment says that the Congress cannot make an establishment of religion which favors one over the other. That is not a secular state at all.
Yeah, that is a secular state.
No, it's not a secular state.
That is a separation of, church and state. We have a separation of church and state.
All of our original states had state religions, all of them, post the First Amendment. Post the First Amendment, the 10th Amendment allowed for states to have their own state religion. You are totally
but not our
wrong.
Country. That's a different. That is not our nation.
Our
nation was a secular nation.
No, how can it be a secular nation where individual states can have their own state religion? How's that a secular nation?
Well, that is, a difference between federal and state powers. That is allowing states
then
to
it's not a secular nation. That's just made up.
No, we had a secular nation, man.
No, that's not a secular nation, man.
We don't have an official religion, and there's a separation of church and state.
You don't need to have an official religion
there
at
is
the
a
federal level for you to have it at the state level.
State, man.
No,
you can't argue.
Show me the Constitution anywhere where it says there's a separation between church and state. Anywhere.
The First Amendment prevents Congress from creating or establishing a religion.
So, I'm sorry, where does it say anything about separation of church and state?
Yeah, it said about creating a state religion. That's what it's talking about. Like the government can't just, this is this new religion that you must now worship. That's what it's talking about.
Dude, it is literally like the First Amendment. Like, I don't even.
The First Amendment literally doesn't say that. It literally doesn't. It literally doesn't quite literally say that at all.
I mean, I guess if you can't read.
No, I can read. Can you read me the word
context
church?
Clues?
Can you read me the word church? Can you read me any of that? What?
Now all of a sudden, this feminist right here, she doesn't understand context clues.
Context clues. Do you understand that if it is the case that all of our states could have state religions and the federal government couldn't interfere in the establishment with states making state religions, this wasn't a secular nation. Do you understand that?
So
all that is saying is that Congress can't go to the states and tell the states which religion they have to follow. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it's saying.
Precisely.
That's not a secular nation.
Yes, it is. It is a secular. We have a secular nation, man. Yeah.
A secular nation would be saying that I don't know, the Constitution prevents religion, or religion can't have an establishment of authority, or there can't be states.
Someone brought up a quote here from President John Adams: "As the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion." I want to pull
That's nice.
Adams, government of the United States.
You know, there was way more founders than John Adams, right?
Of course, yeah. But I mean, Thomas Jefferson in the letter to the Danbury Baptist reiterates that religion is a matter which lies solely between man and his God, that he owes account to none other for his faith or his worship. The legitimate powers of government reach actions only, not opinions.
Yeah.
I contemplate with solemn reverence that act of the whole American people, which declare that the legislature should make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
And when was Thomas Jefferson president?
He was the third.
Okay, and what years were those?
Let me do the math. I think George Washington had 3 terms, so that was.
And when did it? Well, what was the year on the letter? How about that? What was the year on the letter?
Danbury Baptist.
Yeah. What year?
And the noises.
1802.
Oh, 1802. So this was long after the Constitution was established. Is that correct?
Yeah, but in our, it's literally, it's guaranteed as Americans, we are guaranteed separation of church and state.
So Thomas Jefferson, who was going state to state because he wanted a stronger federal body, so he was trying to get states to eliminate state religions, which they were allowed to have under the federal Constitution. You're going to read his letter after the ratification of the Constitution in 1802 as though that's evidence of a secular nation. Brilliant argument.
We absolutely have this. It's in the
let me see. She doesn't know anything. Again, these freaking libtards, they're the ones lecturing us about how they're better educated and stuff like that. But they don't even know shit. Like, she has to look how many times she has to constantly look everything fucking up. It's like, lady, do you not know anything? Which is fine. Don't know anything, but then why do you feel so strongly about the things you feel so strongly about if you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about? You ever thought about that? It's just proof that all these libs are all just indoctrinated. They're just told what to think. They're given everything, and they don't know why they believe in what they believe in.
We absolutely don't have this. Read the 10th Amendment.
The 10th Amendment.
Yeah, read the 10th Amendment.
Clickety-clack, clickety-clack, clickety-clack.
Reinforce the principle of federalism by saying that any power is not delegated to the federal government nor are reserved to the states of Ulysses and those federal power only those explicitly belong to the Constitution. So yeah, as a nation, yeah, sure, certainly states could have their own individual.
So what the First
religions,
Amendment is
which
saying,
they no longer do, as far as I understand.
But they could and can. But what the First Amendment actually says then is that Congress is not able to establish a law because. Right? They left it up to the individual states and not as a federal authority. But that doesn't make it a secular nation. They literally left each state determine whatever state religion they wanted to. And inside of that state, it was highly enforced. How can you say we have a secular nation where individual states can say Catholics can't come here? Can you explain that to me?
Did we have states where Catholics weren't allowed to come there? Well, clearly we corrected. And also, it wasn't our nation; it was individual states.
Clearly, we corrected. I'm sorry. First Amendment and 10th Amendment changed last time I looked because it didn't. The thing is that no, it wasn't founded as a secular nation. No, there were states that had their own independent religions, and yes, they could bar and make law based on those religions. How the fuck could that be a secular state?
The 14th Amendment enforces equal protection onto the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. It is outlawed constitutionally. So
read the 14th Amendment. And give me
the
read it.
Gosh, schooling her in real time.
Our citizen total due process. Citizen clause.
What year was the 14th Amendment ratified?
I don't fucking remember.
1868.
Yeah, but man, the thing is that you are arguing about all this stuff. And the thing is that like, I need you to understand. It's my understanding that you're a recent convert. I don't know if you were atheist before. What were you atheist? Were you raised with a religion? Did you go to church?
Yeah.
Okay, but you're a recent convert to Orthodox Christianity.
Yeah. So what?
Like. No, there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that between different denominations,
it's not that recent anymore, by the way.
Historically, it like Well, I mean, you should know this. I mean, your ancestors were most likely Catholics fleeing persecution from Protestants, and that's why they came to the U.S.,
No, it'd
I'm
be the
sure.
other way around. It would be Protestants fleeing persecution from Anglicans.
Okay. My bad. Most Irish
Definitely
are
not going to be
Catholics.
Catholics fleeing Protestants, because it would be Protestants fleeing from Anglican. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. My bad. It may as well have been a different religion. It may as well, Catholicism to the Protestant may as well have been Islam. So it does matter that our nation had a separation of church and state and was secular.
Yeah, but
it did.
You're still on this.
But it absolutely did.
But I demonstrated to you multiple times it didn't. All you have been able to do is give post hoc justification. After the Constitution was ratified, we already had states that had state religions, and you claim that they could make laws and discriminate based on those state religions, and that was perfectly acceptable, but somehow this was a secular nation. That literally makes no sense. That's like me saying my nation is secular, but all the people who live in it are religious. Each state has their own religion.
What was our federal religion? What was the federal religion?
There doesn't need to be a federal religion.
Then there's
it was a perspective right
it's
given to the states.
It's
no,
secular.
the federal. Listen, you dimwit. The Constitution of the United States was designed specifically to say what the federal government could not do. Or, I'm sorry, what they could do, not what they could not do. They were not allowed to make any type of prescriptive claim on religion at the federal level as a compromise to the states. The states were. And you can't say you have a secular nation if each one of your states can ratify its own fucking religion, make it the state religion, and then bar people from entry based on that state religion. That's the opposite of a secular state.
So the federal government not being able to enforce spiritual matters or religious matters in the states, you think that is not secular?
That would be like saying, like, hey, we live in an anti-abortion country, when in some states abortion is legal. Like, you wouldn't call this, hey, we live in an anti-abortion country, when there are some states that have it legalized. That wouldn't make any sense. It's the same thing here.
Does is pass the buck to the states to enforce those things, which they did, and
to
they
make their own decisions
religion
and to choose which religion they would like to have as their state religion or to not have one.
Okay,
so what I'm saying is that were the states, did they all choose the same denomination? Did they pick the same denomination? Did they pick the same denomination?
I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to close my eyes.
Popping out because you're talking over.
I am going to create my perfect secular nation. What does that look like, Andrew? It means that I'm not going to make any prescriptions about religion, but I'm going to let each individual province inside of my nation do that, and they can totally discriminate based on their religions because this is a secular nation. Does that sound right to you, or does that sound fucking, I don't know, retarded?
I mean, that's the definition of a secular nation. They gave states the decision. They allowed states to.
That's what a secular nation is to you? Oh, okay. Well, then, if all a secular,
the United States gave
so a secular nation to you is I can create in my state the Orthodox religion and then discriminate based upon it. That's a secular nation to you.
Yeah, the federal government can't stop you from doing that.
Great. So you have no problem with individual states creating an Orthodox only, no LGBTQ allowed, make prescriptions based on their religion in their state, right? No issues with that because it's a secular nation.
I don't think we're allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, but here's
however,
the thing.
Again, like what I'm saying is that yes, the federal government was founded on secularism.
No, it wasn't.
They have to leave you alone. They have to let you stop worship. They can't stop you from worshiping.
Which of our founders were secularists, do you think?
They were all personally Christian.
Okay, so I'm sorry. This is super weird to me. We were founded as a secular nation where each one of the states had their own religion, which was ratified and recognized by the federal government, and they could discriminate based on the policies of that religion in the province of that state, and that to you is a secular nation. So right now, if it was the case that we had a nation where you had states inside of it that were all orthodox and discriminated based on the orthodoxy, that to you is a secular nation, right?
Yes, if the federal government is not enforcing a specific religion.
Great. Then I want more secular nations. I want more.
We also
as many
can't, because the
secular
First
nations
Amendment
as we
has
can
two
get.
provisions concerning religion: the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause. Government Clause prohibits the government from establishing religion.
They can't establish
Historically,
it.
it meant state prohibiting state-sponsored churches such as the Church of England.
Right. So the whole nation
Today,
couldn't
what
have the Church of
constitutes an
England.
establishment of religion is often governed under the three-part test set forth by the U.S. Supreme Court in Lemon versus Kurtzman. Under the Lemon test, government can assist religion only if, 1, the primary purpose of the assistance is secular, the assistance must neither promote nor inhibit religion, and 3, there is no excessive entanglement between church and state. So, again, I do not believe that we can establish state religions, even if the original colonies had them and the first states.
But we're not arguing. Hang on, we're not arguing right now if you can or can't in modernity establish religions inside the states. That's a totally different claim than this. Andrew, we were established as a secular nation, and what made us a secular nation was that the federal government couldn't make a national religion, but rather each state could make their own religion and then discriminate and do what they wanted based on their religious practices and beliefs, including not letting you hold office if you weren't a part of that religion. If that to you is a secular state, then I completely concede and want all states to be secular. I want exactly that, because man, what a great thing that was for religion. That's if that's what a secular state is from Charlie's point of view, then that's what Andrew Wilson wants more of.
What an idiot. I mean, like, literally one nation under God. Like, it's, it's on our money. It's in the, one nation, the Pledge of Allegiance. It's this is not founded as a secular nation. Why would God be mentioned so much if this was founded on a secular nation? Doesn't make any sense. I mean, even our Constitution, like, it's founded on like God-given rights and stuff like that, recognizes God-given rights. This is not founded as a secular nation. What is she not understanding about this?
I mean,
more secular states.
I do think that, yes, federally, nations not enforcing a national religion is a positive thing. That's what it is.
That's not what you said. You didn't say it was positive.
Secular state. We have a secular state.
Okay, a secular
we
state.
We have had a secular state. Do you deny?
Yes, I deny.
Do you deny that the U.S. government, in its inception, do you holy fuck? Let me phrase this correctly.
Okay.
It is a fact, correct, that the United States government, in its inception, decided to not enforce any religion nationally.
No. What happened is that the federal government said that under the 10th Amendment, the states could adopt their religion. And by the way, the federal government couldn't do shit about that. And that each individual state could discriminate, including who could hold office based on those religions.
They could not federally enforce.
Yeah, that's just a separation of powers.
Yeah,
like saying
that is oh my God, like a separation of church and state.
It's not a separation of church and state.
That's a separation of church and state.
States have churches. States have churches.
Can I just clear this up really quick?
A separation of power is not the same as a separation of church and state, nitwit. You can't say I have a secular state where everybody inside of it can make policy based on their religion. That's not a secular state.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hope for Charlie. I don't think there's any luck. But, I give her credit because this was a long conversation. I mean, even though what I showed you today was a long portion, a big portion of it. Well, it wasn't even a big. It was just the portion that I showed you today was long in itself, but it's much longer. And I give Charlie credit for actually hanging in there, not rage quitting, not spurging out. She was calm. But even despite all of that, she still looked like an idiot. And it really it really displays really well just how indoctrinated these young people are, like these liberals are. They don't know what they're talking about. They're only told what to believe. They're not taught how to think at all. Many of the books that they read were probably either taught to them through their libtard lenses, or they're all liberal, how do you say, not propaganda, but all shown through like a liberal lens. So it's not really teaching them anything that's actually factual. I mean, because like the whole time she's using ChatGPT, she's looking things up, and it's like, well, how is it that you need to look up all this stuff and but yet feel so passionately about the things that you do? Have these people ever sat there and actually question why they believe the things they do? Just ask themselves why. Like, pretend like you're a little kid talking to yourself, and you say, well, I believe in this. Why? Well, because of this. Why? Well, because of that. Why? And just kind of keep going until you can't really go no more. And once you hit that wall, ask yourself, well, gee, then you could evaluate to see, okay, well, was this really legitimate or not? People need to spend more time with themselves. And I don't mean that in a hippy dippy libtard sort of way. I mean, people don't really think about things enough. And people need more time to think sometimes, especially if you're a liberal, especially if you're on the left, like young Charlie right here. Young Chucky, if you will. But good on Andrew. Once again, another W for Andrew Wilson. What did you guys think about this? Sound off in the comment section below. Give this video a like if you liked it. And if you really liked it, please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. I drop new videos every day. And I live stream Mondays through Fridays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, to give a sub to the Raging Tomatoes channel. She does great work. She hosts great conversations and debates just like this one. And she has a whole channel full of them. So I urge you, go help her out. Go sub to her channel as well.